This is lesson number 7 for metal technology. It is over drills and drilling. This is in chapter 24 of the Modern Metalworking textbook, pages 363 to 391. As always, make sure you take your time, stop this video whenever you need to, write down the definitions, the key terms, and make sure you don't forget to draw your images. The main tool that you are going to use to do drilling is something called a drill press. The drill press is a stationary tool that you are going to take a drill bit. You'll put your drill bit into the actual drill press itself right here. You will have a project that is clamped onto this table and you'll put a hole in it. So the main purpose of a drill press is to drill and bore holes. Every single time you need to make sure though that you clamp your metal. Without a doubt, every single time that you are drilling metal, you always clamp it. One of the most common types of a drill bit is something called a twist drill. So this picture over here is a good example of a twist drill. You have these flutes in here. We'll actually break down each one of these parts here in just a few seconds. But it has a straight shank on the back and it comes in a different size. These are sized based upon their diameter most of the time. The drill bit can be broke down into a bunch of different pieces. It's much like a human body. You can say this is my body, or you can break it down and say this is my head, this is my arm, these are my legs, so on and so forth. The drill press is like that, or the drill bit is just like that as well. So on this one you have this back portion here. This is called the shank. The shank is what actually fits into either the drill press or the electric hand drill. This is what is going to be held. You will not hold your drill bit in here. It will damage these flutes and it will not be able to hold into the machine. There's something called a tang on a taper shank bit. So this is a tang. This black part up here is what we're talking about. It's only going to be on a taper shank. This device here has a smaller diameter here than it does down here. And the way that this works is it fits into certain drilling machines, not like the ones that we have in our room. Ours are different, but this will fit into a drilling machine and it'll go up and it'll kind of get lodged into this drill socket. When it does, it has to have this flat machined area on there so it can lock. It's kind of like a key. Otherwise it could spin very easily if it didn't have this key type mechanism. The body of the drill bit is going to contain everything between the point and the shank of the drill bit. So it contains the lips, the flutes, the tip. All of this is the body. This part is the shank. The flutes are going to be used to actually as a transport system. So what they're going to do is they're going to remove the chips. So whatever the material is that you're drilling on, it's going to remove those chips and it's going to spin. As it's spinning, the chips fall onto these flutes and they're thrown out or ejected as they get to the top of the hole. The chuck is probably the most important part of a drill. Your drill bit is going to be put into this area right here. So when you would take this, you would just flip it around and put the actual drill bit shank into this portion here. You need to absolutely make sure that you tighten this down and lock this down using something called a chuck key, and you make sure that you remove the chuck key immediately after you use it. So the chuck key is a little device that goes in this gear here and it goes in here. So as you tighten this down, as you turn this to the right, it's going to tighten this down. So this gear is going to work and it's going to have a tightening effect down here on your drill bit itself. Taper shank bits are self-holding tapers. these bits over here are all taper shank bits. So they will fit directly into a machine. You don't have to chuck them. This is different though than the type of machine that we have. So we do not actually have this technology in here. We just need to make sure that we understand the difference. So you don't want to put these in our specific drill press machines that we have here at school. But notice again, the tang is on the top part, and this part here, same way here and here and here. These have a different diameter from the top portion compared to the bottom portion. The most important thing, hands down, when dealing with metal technology drilling is that you always clamp metal being drilled. Make sure that you clamp the metal correctly. So the work holding devices are tools that are used to clamp material, either during machining operations or whatever it is that you're doing. So you always clamp metal. When you are drilling, you need to make sure that you're aware of a couple things about the speed. Speed is how fast the actual drill bit rotates. This is a speed and feed chart. So on this speed and feed chart, it's going to give you recommendations for how fast to spin your drill bit. Typically speaking, higher speeds are used for small holes or soft material. Slower speeds are used for large holes or small material or hard material. You also need to make sure that you are slowing down your drill speed, your cutting speed, when you are boring deep holes or when you're making a really deep hole. The feed is how fast you actually put that drill bit into the project. So you want to make sure that you are adjusting. You don't want to use too much pressure. You don't want to feed too quickly because it can damage the project, or it can damage your drill bit. You can also break the drill bit very easily if you're trying to feed too fast. So feed is the advance rate of the drill. It's how fast the tool is being moved. The most common type of a drilling machine is something called an electric hand drill. So this machine here, this has what we call a variable speed knob. So this trigger right here, as you pull this trigger down, the slower you pull the trigger down, the slower that the speed's going to be. If you barely pull the trigger, the speed's going to go slow. If you pull the trigger all the way down as hard as you can, it's going to give you full speed. So you need to make sure that you understand that when you are squeezing this trigger, it is variable speed. It all is based upon how far this button is pushed in. This is a corded drill. One of the most common things now that most people have is a cordless drill. So you have a drill with batteries on it. The only disadvantage to having a cordless drill is that the battery obviously can wear out, and they're usually not quite as strong as a corded drill. Disadvantage of a corded drill is obviously that you're going to always have to have it plugged in somewhere. So you're going to have an extension cord or something along those lines. But a lot of the times they are actually stronger than a battery powered drill. So to wrap up lesson 7 here, we've got a couple of essential questions. How are filing, sawing, threading, and drilling all similar? And how are they different from forging? So you're going to have to use a little bit of your prior knowledge here, kind of revisit some things that we've talked about so far in this class, and also maybe look ahead a little bit to one of the next lessons on forging. So how are those different? So check this out and research and figure out how all these things are similar and different from forging.